Hey everyone out in Training Tuesday land. This is Heidi Reese, the training products manager or the programs manager, I should say. I don't even know who I am today, Chuck. So I wanted to welcome all of you, all the regulars and all the new people that have joined today. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out for a Playing It Safe with Dayton. And I want to introduce you to the person who's going to be doing the training. He really doesn't need an introduction. His name's Chuck Hoke. He's hanging out here with me. The man has 49 years in the industry, and he was a dealer for 20 of those for all types of the concrete construction products, for accessories, chemicals, forming, and he spent 30 years with Dayton Superior so far. A couple things for housekeeping. I forgot to tell you, everyone who has joined muted so that we can continue on without any background disturbances. We record every one of these Training Tuesdays and put them online so that you can re-listen whenever you need to. In addition, you can also go ahead and pass it on to somebody else who might need it. So this this presentation is intended for training purposes only. We are talking safety, and so some of the products that we're going to be talking about here, it's very important to go out to DaytonSuperior.com and make sure that you read the technical specifications, such as application guides, technical TDSs, technical documents, safety documents, you name it. And they can all be found on DaytonSuperior.com. So I already introduced Mr. Chuck. We're going to talk about who Dayton Superior is. But before we do that, I know that I told you guys that you're all muted, but I want you to do a belated happy birthday. Yesterday was his birthday. So you ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Chuck. Yay. He's going to kill me for this, especially recorded. But I wanted to give him a shout out for that. He does all of these and he does them so well with me. And I just really appreciate him. All right. Back to it, who's Dayton Superior? You should know, and if you don't, we are the leading provider in engineered solutions. We've got great people here for training. Not only are the products of accessories, chemicals, forming, we've got trainers, we've got engineers here for you to assist you with your project needs. And like I said, this week specifically is Construction Safety Week. So there's a National Safety Week that's done every year. I believe the organization started it back in 2016. And we thought it might be nice to show you how you can get that peace of mind playing it safe with Dayton. So we're going to talk about a couple of the items, such as our products, of course, but in addition, how to deal with some concrete pressure. Now, next week, we're going to have concrete form pressure, so there's going to be much more involved in that next week, but we're going to touch on it very briefly here. In addition, some factors of safety, proper lifting safety, and then how we can help enable testing and redoing. We're looking at the testing standards to make sure everything's safe. So Chuck, your turn, buddy. Sorry about the birthday wishes. Not really.
Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah. Love you back.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Training Tuesday. As Heidi alluded, we are going to be talking about safety within Dayton Superior. How does who you buy your product from influence your purchases going to the job site? Well, coming in, we look at these products here. At Dayton, we take safety very serious, and looking at the pictures here, you see a variety of different pictures. We started about 3 years ago developing a safety calendar and had basically all of our employees' children submit drawings, and we had a committee that voted on it and applied each one of these drawings to a month. And when we first started this, we had to basically struggle to get the original 12 months covered. Now, unfortunately, we are running short on months. We don't have months that we can apply all the drawings that we get. And a lot of these, what are our children thinking about as far as safety? What is safety related to? And this is something that should be very high on every one of our minds because, like me, I want to supply a product that a person can use and he can use it with the assurance that it's going to do the work that he needs to get done so he can go home at night just the same way he came in the morning. With that being said, we've got different calendar proposals here that we look at, and you look at what some of the kids are actually worried about. And, we've got things like our chemical safety, our hardware safety, our lifting safety, all of our testing procedures that we go through. So these are all things that these kids have all kind of checked in on, and a lot of them checked in on PPE gear. What is required? Now, there's a lot of your dealers out there. These are some of the items. This is not a Dayton product per se, but it is an industry product. And we are all responsible for proper PPE gear, hard hats, safety shoes, safety vests, work gloves, uh, respirators if need be, safety glasses, obviously. So those are things that, we want to make sure that we kind of follow the criteria. And this one here kind of was kind of my favorite. When we talk about kids, we want to make sure that we like to give high fives around here. So everybody, when they come into work, is going to leave the same way they came out. They don't have to worry about having an accident on site and losing a finger or whatever. It just, so we want to make sure everybody is safe around here. So when we deal with concrete, a lot of concrete in our industry, and concrete can be very differentiating as far as not being you have to respect it because it can get away from you. It can be a hazard it can actually be a problem for contractors on site. First of all, concrete is a flowable material. So it flows all around the site. It acts like a fluid plastic material. It can be molded into any shape, as we know. So concrete typically exerts a pressure, about 150 pounds of pressure in all directions. So that pressure, as it's being exerted by the concrete, increases as you increase the amount of concrete that you're putting in height-wise. Width-wise doesn't make a difference. If you only have a foot of concrete, it's still only a foot of concrete, so it's only exerting the same pressure. Pressure only increases when you start putting a vertical in a vertical form where you would have like a concrete wall. So that pressure would increase as you pour the concrete wall. So you're going to run from 150 pounds per square foot on the top of the form, but it's going to increase by 150 every foot going down the concrete form wall. So what'll happen is you actually will have up to 900. You can, depending on how high you're going to or how fast you're going to pour your concrete, you have to be very conscientious of how much concrete you're actually pouring and what the height of that system is. So, you're talking most plywood forms. Typically, you're talking with 3/4 inch plywood and 2x4 studs and rails. You're talking a 600-pound load rating. So that means you're limited to about 4 foot of concrete per hour. Simon steel ply, you can go 1,000 pounds, so you're limited to only 6 foot 8 inches per hour. Now, all the forms are great. Plywood forms, Simon steel form, or steel ply, sim ply form, all of these systems, all they are load gathering devices. If you do not use the right number of ties to counteract the pressure that is being put on by the concrete form pressure, you will have a problem. So typically you have to make sure that you have the right number of ties to alleviate any of this form pressure that's being put in place here. Now, ties typically come in, you got snap ties at 2,250 pounds at the 3,350, 4,500 pounds for a loop tie. You get into 19,000 pounds for taper ties and so forth. So there's a multitude of different ties you can use. And at Dayton Superior, we manufacture all of these different types of ties. When we manufacture a tie, it has a factor of safety involved with us, which basically means you're taking the ultimate load of that tie where it fails and divide it by what you're looking for, a safe working load. And usually this is expressed as a ratio. So typically you're always going to see like a 2-to-1 safety factor for concrete form work. Well, 2-to-1 is what is dictated to Dayton by the concrete gods of the industry, the people that actually set forth who we have to what we have to design by. But some of the other things that we have to take into consideration is we look at breakbacks and testing. And this is something that Dayton does on a regular basis when they fabricate ties, is they actually do random testing on their product to make sure that the ties are being made properly with the proper breakback, with the proper strength of the wire. A lot of this time here, because wire can be it's not a very homogeneous design when you get steel wire in from the factory. You draw it down and so forth to actually get your tie diameter wire that you're looking for, and then you actually shape it and bend it, weld it, etc. Well, all these nuances that you're taking into consideration, of drawing, bending it, welding it, you may have to upsize it a little bit here or there. All these processes could influence the overall strength of that piece of wire. Now, 10 foot down in the coil or 30 foot down in the coil, it may be totally different. But at that certain point, you have to make sure that you are within standards. So that's why we have a 2-to-1 safety factor included within the ties. So every product we supply actually has load rated. So we actually load rate the ties, whether it be a pull test, similar here, but we check the breakbacks, we check button heads, we check all of the different functions, even simple things like the plastic PC 110, the impalement cones. We have to make sure that those follow certain requirements to meet OSHA requirements. So those are all things too that we take into consideration with how we develop them going forward. What we're looking for is that everything actually entails a tension load. Tension load is typically what you are putting a snap tie in, or a coil tie, or a loop tie, or anything in when you start loading it up with form. Tension is when you're being pulled in the direction of the tie, not across it, but it's actually being pulled from the bottom to the top, or whatever the orientation of the tie is. Inserts would also fall into that. You'd also going to have to worry about shear. Shear is when your cross loads coming in. When do you have more shear than not? It's typically going to be when you have lifting hardware put in place and you are going to lift at a different angle, because we all know that when we sell product to the contractor on site, a lot of times they don't have spreader bars on site. But so what they'll do is they will take a long cable and run it up around the picking device from one end to the other and pick it up. They're going to have an angle that they're picking at. Well, when they pick at that angle with the lifting hardware, you're actually decreasing the capacity of the insert because you're putting it more into shear. Most of the products that Dayton Superior makes and every other manufacturer makes They are very good in tension. They are not all that great in shear. Shear is actually not friendly to metal products. Uh, Shear is the one item where you'll find the capacity of uh, even bolts, etc., in shear is much lower than the tension load that it'll actually carry. As I said, we follow the direction of uh, American National Standards, ACI, and obviously OSHA involved here. OSHA is the one that's kind of the one big different one here. They're the only ones that can actually fine the contractor or the manufacturer, et cetera, for not abiding by current regulations. And current list like factors for safety on most products that we make. You're looking at lifting and hardware anchors used more than once, which means those are going to be more or less more geared towards a precaster versus 2-to-1 for a standard like a tilt up guy where he's going to only use that insert once. He's only going to lift with it once. Same insert being used for tilt up is only worth 50% if it goes to a precaster because the precaster is going to be lifting with it multiple times. You have 3-to-1 for safety factors, 1.5-to-1 for bracing and pre-stressing, 5-to-1 for lifting hardware. Now, the other thing you have to look at is on this list here is 2-to-1 for all concrete forming accessories. So that means any of your ties, your nuts, your bolts, etc., all have to have a 2-to-1 safety factor involved with it. Lifting being a major part of hazards on job sites, you never want to lift with a utility anchor perpendicular to the direction of the pull. So basically, when you have your insert located, you want to make sure that you follow guidelines within that parameters of what you are looking for to do with that lifting, what the insert is designed for and how it's used uh, have to be synonymous with how they want the product actually placed. Sometimes you can actually install a product here and obviously it can be mislifted by uh, the contractor, primarily because of how it ended up on the job site, how it came off the truck or whatever. Uh, so certain inserts typically are not designed to be lifted in a certain direction. So with that, at Dayton Superior, we actually have these guidelines within our handbook that are readily available for you, basically telling you what the concrete issue of how the utility anchor has to be lifted, positioned, etc., to actually accompany the lifting of the product that they're looking for. You're going to see proper lifting with utility anchors, whether it be alignment or positioning within the concrete itself, uh, primarily because utility lifting is done solely by the contractor primarily. You're going to have clevises and chains, etc., of actually being used by the contractor. That's a system that doesn't require select lifting hardware. So you have to follow a different set of, I want to say not rules, but you want to be a little bit more careful because with that system here, you don't have a distinct piece of equipment that you're using. So when the contractor actually gets it out there, he's got to basically follow certain rules that he doesn't damage the concrete in the lifting process. Positioning is critical for a lot of products here, depending on what you have. You see guys do a simple column, basically a square void here, and they may have a set of 4-ways on the job site to actually pick it up and move it. A circular column, which may get picked up and dropped into place and then used in with a grout sleeve or a concrete anchor of sorts. How you lift will determine the angle that the product will come in at and how it's going to be placed. So the lifting is actually very critical on a lot of these component pieces, and we can actually help you with loading, etc., with these products and how proper application is being used. Like I said, I was talking earlier on the utility anchor, how you Crosby hook in place here. You have to be very careful not to actually point load on the concrete with the Crosby hook. Two things that can happen here is one, you can fragment the concrete, and two, you can actually crack the Crosby hook because you're now lifting in a angle that is not uniform within the standards that Crosby puts forward on their Crosby hook. And Crosby Hook, if you're not familiar, they're probably one of the largest hook manufacturers in the country. They're kind of like the Kleenex of the industry as far as lifting hooks and shackles and so forth. Some of the things that the people don't realize here at Dayton, we actually have our quality team here at Dayton Superior uh, within the corporate office here actually run tests on products that are typically brought in place. Whether it's a domestic product that we make here or a product that actually we source from overseas. A lot of those products here run samples, and we run tests on them here to make sure that they comply with our safety standards and our application standards. So we do a lot of testing here. Uh, we see constantly our guys in the back here, our design engineers, our testing engineers, the quality control team, our chemical engineering team, and customer service and technical service people. They're constantly running tests on products that we manufacture to make sure that they conform to our standards within the parameters that are set forth. So you're looking at loop ties here, coil ties, with any of the ties that typically, and even inserts, we pull them. Best way to do it is pull it till it breaks. Being a big kid in the industry, it kind of is one of those things you go out back. These are just big kid toys. I mean, kids go out here, the guys go out here, and they pull this product here until it actually fails. So they're going right to the full ultimate load on this product, which is kind of what you want to do. You want to make sure that this product has a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 or 4 to, depending on what the safety requirements are required for this product. You want to make sure that we conform or that this product is actually works to that point or even surpasses it. So if it falls short of it, we are not shy about pulling a product because it does not meet our standards. So we run various tests on all of our precast components, on our forged products, and even on our tapered thread machines to make sure that they're actually performing at the best performance level within the industry. Now, one of the things that people do not know, and even a lot of people that, throughout the industry here, uh, contractors and precasters and dealers have bought hardware, lifting hardware in the past. And they typically have it and they use it and they reuse it and they reuse it and they reuse. Well, a lot of these products have a tendency to get worn. Uh, the industry is not gentle with its equipment. So basically, if we're talking any of these products here, you've got what we call a recertification, especially of tilt-up hardware and precast hardware. So the recertification of tilt-up hardware, if you have lifting hardware, you can actually send that back into Dayton, get it inspected, proof loaded, and recertified. And there is a small fee for this, but it's very, very minute compared to the cost of either a failure or even new hardware. This is going to tell you exactly where your hardware stands, whether you may have a problem with it or if it's still in good working order. So, and we typically do this on the T120. We'll do it on the P91S, which is for precast, and on our P51s and P50s. So these are all the lifting clutch hardwares that typically get reused constantly. And these are some products that typically go from, job to job and don't basically have, unless you're doing a physical inspection yourself, this is something that we can actually do within the walls here within Dayton Superior. So the process is fairly simple. Contact customer service to obtain a purchase order to receive material to get an RMA. Ship the product to a designated Dayton Superior rental yard for inspection or repair. The repairs will be done if it's a simple repair, a simple replacing a harness or whatever on it. Yes, those can be done relatively inexpensively. If the product has a more serious issue, you will be notified of the product problem in writing and by phone call. So, and the certificate will also actually produce a certifiable lab test report that are generated relating to that componently. So a lot of these the products will be serial numberized so that we can actually follow through with it. The inspection and repairs typical, basically performed the inspection procedures, work instructions. These are a lot of the same inspection processes that we go through on our own products that we actually rent out, etc. That we will actually, if we do a tilt job, we have lifting hardware go out, that comes back, we actually go through an inspection process on it before it gets sent back out. So this will be the same type of inspection on our product here to verify the use, and it's basically safe working capacities within the use of that product. There are various things that we look at is obviously the loop wear on the inspection, whether it's been elongated, etc. The clutch handle and actually the inspection pin, the lifting pin that actually makes all the connection. We also check to make sure that the bail is not bent out of specification because of being used on the job site where it may have been tossed around, etc. So those are also done as far as within our inspection process. We will also proof load it to make sure that it will still withstand the capacities that it's required. So being what we will do is lift it to the safe working load of the product, actually 200% of the safe working load. So if it's a 4-to-1, we're only going to lift it up to 200% over what the design load is. Excuse me, 200% over what the safe working load is to make sure that, and we're still going to be, in a lifting hardware, you're still going to be it's a 5-to-1 safety factor, so you still have more safety factor involved. But we figure at 200%, we're actually surpassing what the capacity is designed for. The resources that we have available, DaytonSuperior.com, obviously. You've got all of our TDSs. When you're talking any of the chemical products for quality, etc., all these products are actually checked to make sure that they actually coincide with what we have on our TDSs and our SDS sheets. So those are all readily available online at DaytonSuperior.com. If you have a question, please, there is a map on the website. That map is interactive based on your region, and what it will give you the name of your sales rep, the customer service phone number, and reps that are in the office for customer service. and any of the technical and, people within the system. It'll also even give you Heidi's and my phone numbers on the, so for contact. So if you do have issues or need to get some information on products, feel free, go to those maps. You can find out who you're looking for and give us a call. I got fast fingers today. Uh,
That you do.
so
Maybe it's me messing with you. Do you
maybe,
know?
for resources, obviously, if anybody's looking here, this is just like a brief overview, and we do a lot of these trainings, which actually this is a subset of a lot of the other trainings that we do basically on different products. We talk about safety within it. Uh, they're all readily available. Go to DaytonSuperior.com. All of the ones that we've done for Training Tuesday are on just that. Go to Training Tuesday when you go to the search bar on DaytonSuperior.com. If you want to talk to Heidi or myself, get a hold of us at training@DaytonSuperior.com or scan the QR code here on the side, and that'll take you right to the training website.
Yeah, if any of you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to put them into the Zoom chat or Q&A section, and we'll get those answered. I think I forgot to mention that early on. Well, it doesn't look like we do. So like Chuck said, if you need additional training, you can click or scan that QR code there. It'll take you to the form. You could fill it out and get in touch with us. And if there's no other questions, and hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday for the concrete form pressure. Thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks, Chuck.
Take care. Have a safe weekend.